Now, it seems that fewer people have booked their flu vaccine this year than in previous years. Obviously, this is something which helps keep flu under control, not only for you, but for the rest of the general population too. To tell us more, I'm joined now by Dr. Hilary Jones. How are you doing, sir?
Jason, I'm very well. How are you?
All good here. And I have got a voucher from my workplace to use to book my flu vaccination with this year. And people are obviously paying for theirs too. But we also need to make sure that those who are eligible for a free vaccination do get theirs done.
Yes, it's really important. We know that this is the season where we start to see cases of flu emerge. We had a pretty mild season last year, but in 2017-18, it was a bad flu season with 26,500 people actually losing their lives to flu or its complications. So it is a cyclical thing. We get bad winters and better winters, but if the southern hemisphere is anything to go by, there is an early warning sign there that we've seen an earlier start to their winter season, and a more prolonged season in countries like Australia, Chile, Mexico, South Africa. What happens there tends to follow here. So, we've got COVID circulating as well, weather's starting to change. This is the time to take up the offer of your flu vaccination and get it done.
And this is something which say it does protect you and protect those around you. And if you are eligible because of a health condition or due to age, then this is something you should be thinking about getting done quickly. And the concerning part is 71% of people wouldn't take time off work if they caught the flu, despite the average person believe it takes 12 days to recover from it. So yeah, they're going to be working at half speed and potentially spreading it to others and their families.
That's right. There are two bits of that statistic that I'd like to comment on. The first one is it takes 12 days to recover. That's for sure. If you get true flu, it will take you 2 weeks to get over it completely, if not longer. It's a really nasty infection. It causes a high temperature, 39 degrees, 40 degrees centigrade. It'll give you a hacking cough. It'll give you congested sinuses and nasal and respiratory passageways, really aching muscles and joints, and you will be bedridden. When people say that they'll continue going to work, they won't be able to. It's really debilitating, and most people are unlucky if they get more than one or two true cases of flu in their lifetime. So it's not a heavy cold, it's flu. And we can actually measure whether people have genuinely got the flu. We do surveillance on certain numbers of people presenting at GP surgeries and in hospitals. So we know what true flu is. And when it comes along, it's potentially life-threatening for people who've got pre-existing conditions. So, Jason, you mentioned eligibility for the free NHS flu vaccination, and those people who are eligible will include pregnant women because they're particularly susceptible, children who are 2 or 3 years of age at the end of August this year, primary and secondary school children, and all children who are in a clinical risk group. Then, on top of that, anyone aged 65 and over because their immune system wanes with age. Anybody who's an adult between 18 and 65 with a clinical risk condition, um, people in long stay residential care, people who are caring for somebody full time at home, and anyone who is a close contact of anyone who's immunocompromised. These are the groups who are eligible for a free vaccine and would be very sensible to take up that offer.
Absolutely. And it's a small amount to invest yourself if you do want to have a vaccine privately. And with the cost of things like, yeah, people may spend 30 odd quid on medication. The time lost off work could cost you a huge amount if you don't get vaccinated. And whilst vaccinations are obviously going to only prepare your body for an infection that comes your way, whatever happens, it'll be a lot milder than if you were to get a full-blown version of flu.
That's absolutely right. It'll reduce the duration and severity of your symptoms, and some people will be able to prevent getting the flu symptoms at all. It gives about 40 to 60% protection against the risk of coming down with the flu. So that's good. But another statistic that comes out of CSL Seqirus, who are sponsoring this interview, non-promotional interview, is that if you are unlucky enough to be hospitalized with the flu, your risk of being admitted to ITU is reduced by 26% compared to the unvaccinated individuals, and your risk of death is 31% reduced compared to people who haven't been vaccinated. So, that is a significant protection, and it is the best protection. However healthy we live our lifestyles and however much we do to make sure we eat healthily, get enough sleep, avoid stress, and stay as healthy as possible, the flu vaccination is still the best way of giving us the best protection.
Yeah, and whilst I'm 99.9% certain I've never had the flu, it's not something I want. Now, you convinced me a couple of years ago when I could get a flu jab during the COVID period to go out and get mine. It's only the second one I've ever had. I am signed up. I will be getting mine done again this year because it is just sensible to avoid having a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And the important thing to remember is that just because you had the flu jab last year, it doesn't mean to say that you're protected this year because the virus might be different. The flu viruses change and mutate all the time. So not only is your immunity waning from last year after 12 months, but the vaccine you had then, which protected you last year, will not give you the adequate level of protection necessarily this year. It'll be a different virus, different mutations of the virus. So it's a different vaccine for a different situation, and it's important to get your flu jab every year.
Absolutely. Where can we go for more information on all of this, including eligibility?
Yeah, I think that the best place to get more information is the pharmacy or your GP surgery. Those eligible people may be getting their invitation to come and have their jab from their GP coming through their letterbox any minute now. But even if it hasn't, you can make an appointment with your GP, or if it's more convenient, and it may well be, go and see a pharmacist. They'll have a little private room at the back. It takes a few seconds to get the jab done, and then you know that you've got the reassurance of being protected.
Yeah, and they'll be able to tell you whether you need to pay or not. And the average cost of this is going to be less than the cost in decongestants to get you through those 2 weeks, so you at least feel half human.
That's right.
Well, as ever, Dr. Hilary Jones, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jason, and stay well.